brain fart. Nice. All right. Welcome to another episode of Paris à la Geek.
The place to get your geek on.
So today, what are we talking about?
Our wonderful trip to Angouleme for the Angouleme International Comics Festival, which is held every year in January. And this year, there was an amazing exhibit for Osamu Tezuka.
Osamu Tezuka.
And I think I say that wrong, but...
It's like Spanish. Osamu Tezuka. Yes. It was incredible. I mean, it's interesting that the museum, that it was actually held at a museum. It wasn't held at a hotel.
It was so appropriate.
Or a bar.
It wasn't one of the pavilion tents.
Yeah.
They actually had it in the Musée d'Angoulême.
Yes.
And it was right beside the beautiful cathedral.
Yes.
Very picturesque. And I love that they treated it like art.
Yeah.
It was an exhibit as though it was a museum exhibit. It wasn't just a little thing that you threw together.
It was a museum exhibit. But yeah, it was a thing that was thrown in a bag tent or a pack of a pickup truck.
It was right there with the fossils and with the gold helmets and with the art displays. And you went to the top floor and boom.
Yeah, I think Tezuka would have loved it.
I think he would have.
Yeah.
And as you can see here, there was a bit of a line.
Yeah.
And it kept going and going and going, and when we finally made it back up to the top floor, I just snapped a picture. In French and Japanese, they actually call him the God of Manga and the God of Anime.
Right.
Somehow that gets watered down when it's translated into English. I guess we don't want to call him the God. We call him the Godfather.
Yeah, that's because it goes back to Shinto, and Shinto is very different in terms of the religions that we have. Everything is a spirit, everything is God, the tree, and so on. So I think that's where they get it from. That's why they call it Kamisama.
Well, if there was one person in Japan who was channeling both, cartoons, animation, and the drawn picture, it was definitely him.
Yes.
All of his work was, whether it was the page or, of course, as an animation, it was all animated.
Yes, and he had such a fantastic way.
Everything had movement. Everything pushed you from one panel to the next panel.
Because it was like keyframes.
Exactly.
The thing that I think most people fail to see, if you tend to be much more in the... much more animated in your way of storytelling or imagining your story, then Tezuka is the person to sit down and study. Okay,
so you as a creator, artist, storyteller, what did he do to influence you?
Taught me how to do storytelling, pacing. He also taught me to think outside of the box in terms of genre. Don't get stuck you can do anything.
Yeah, like think crazy.
Think crazy. And crazy is good, and crazy will lead you down a fun path. So
because you can write in the logic, right?
Yeah, you can write in the logic.
If you think of something, you can, in your book, within your construct, you can make it logical within that story.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's logical in real life or not.
Yeah, as long as you don't break that logic in your story, you're fine.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the storytelling.
Because my brain, when I usually think of stories, people are moving, jumping, and doing things.
Right.
Whereas comic books, it's almost like you've got some sort of brain disorder.
You must stop at every panel.
Yeah, and
it's
pause
like in between.
Like shots. So I always think it's funny when people say, you got to do it cinematic. What does that mean? When you're watching and studying a movie, as a lot of people might tell you, you sit down and watch a movie, but you're seeing a camera that's moving and actors are moving and things are moving. Yeah. So you have to interpret that on paper on a static page.
Exactly.
Which is something that...
Movies, movement.
Yes.
Comics, static.
Static. So you're playing a magician. You're being a magician. You're hoping that the person will get into your story enough that they see it moving in their head.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think that Tezuka has influenced me the most.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's brilliant at it.
Where there's pauses on the page, where it's static on the page, he knows enough about your response to it.
Yeah.
How you will respond in order to fill in the blanks.
Well,
you become the in-betweener.
You're
part of the animation process in your mind.
I was going to say that he is the keyframe guy and your brain is the in-betweener.
Yeah, he's very... and I think part of that is because he's such a fan of animation.
Yeah.
And he so adores manga, or did. I talk about it like he's still alive. But it really comes across because he knows where do I make that leap in my imagination that I don't either have to draw or I cannot draw.
Right.
You can't draw every single moment.
No, and it becomes
as you said,
boring,
it's not film.
tedious,
Yeah.
And that's the other problems that
So
you
it's
have.
very cool. You are an active, in any good comic, you're an active participant.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that he understood that. He understood it so well, that's why he used less keyframes. So he went from the 24 keyframes per second, which was
10.
Full animated Disney style, down to around 10.
Yeah.
Because he really understood what is not necessary, what is necessary.
Absolutely.
And he did that because that's one of his big skills, I think.
Yeah. It's,
amongst many.
yeah, I mean, you could probably literally get any of his books, thumb through it, and if you were an animation house, you could animate it.
And I love that when you look at the life of Tezuka.
A full range. You're talking from children to adults, and even
Erotica,
erotica, yeah, which most artists, if you're in any of the English-speaking countries,
you'd be toast if
you
you ever cross that line.
You can never cross that line. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you have to live within that little cube of your ice tray.
Right.
And don't you dare seep over into that other. Whereas other places maybe a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, there's more of a person than just
one title.
One title.
Yes.
Whoa, wait a sec. One more thing.
What's that?
Yeah, you got to drop by, check out our website at www.7robots.com.
I believe there's 3 W's.
There's 3 W's. Okay. Yeah, 3 W's. Yes. Drop by, check out our website. Got plenty of stuff that we post there. We got our Instagram. We got all the things that we're talking about and doing.
And give us a like. And
give us a like.
We'll see you next time.
Yes. Chowders.
Ciao.